Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Player's Edge. Tonight, you just see four of us on the screen because we tried to get a guest, but unfortunately, their car ran out of gas. The dog ate their homework. They couldn't make it. What's another good reason why they couldn't make it, Tom? You know,
Because
all right, that went over really well. And that's
wow, like a lead balloon.
I was wondering if Tom made it or not. You know, he was on the screen, but
Oh, you never know.
we just don't know what Tom. He plays those pranks all the time, so it should be good to soft prankster Tom over there. But no, it's the original Beatles are back, just the four of us. And tonight we're going to be talking about Arlington Park. We wanted to celebrate Arlington Park before it closes here in the Chicagoland area and forces Tom and I to drive to wonderful places like the what's it called, Fairmont Park or FanDuel right now. That's what it's called,
now,
right?
And or Stickney.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, Hawthorne, they should be opening up soon, but they are planning on putting a casino there if they can get approved for it. We'll see. I doubt it. Chicago's been dying for a casino for, I don't know, as long as I've been here, and I've been here, it seems like for eternity. So I don't know that you're going to see one, and I don't know that it's necessarily the best place to put it because it's kind of off the beaten path, although it is a lot closer to a lot of folks than Indiana or Iowa, for sure.
Yeah.
So tonight we're going to talk about the races at Arlington. But before we get there, earlier in the day, Terry and I talked a little bit about our favorite handicapping angles. So I figured I'll surprise Tom and I'll surprise Shawn and ask them. Shawn, what's your favorite handicapping angle?
One of my favorites is actually speed against softer. Like if they're in really tough and then they go against softer, the speed carries a lot better. So that's one of my favorites.
And how about you, Tom?
Mine is when they move races off the turf and watch the scratches and then watch for the also eligibles coming into the race.
Mm-hmm.
More times than not, those also eligibles win.
Yeah. One of my favorites, another one of my favorites, is that over the years I've noticed that if a horse is doing well, is in really good top form, and they put it up in class and keep raising in class, I love to bet those horses. Because a lot of times you get some pretty darn good prices, and it's a good thing to watch. So that's a good angle to go with.
For me, I'd say one of my other favorite ones, other than what we talked about this morning, is speed that carries into the stretch and then fades. And then next time out, first time Lasix. Almost always, I can't say there's no handicapping angle. That's almost always. But if that speed carries and then fades, the next time out, first time Lasix, almost always the stamina level goes and the horse is able to hold that speed. And because of that late fade, many times you'll still get a good price on that horse too, even though there's a lot of first-time Lasix players out there. But that's one of my favorite angles. I'm not a big fan of a horse that just doesn't show anything and then gets first-time Lasix. I don't know that it'll have that big of an impact. So tonight we're going to be talking about three biggest races at Arlington, the three biggest races that are left. We'll make our picks, talk a little bit about which horses we like, which ones we don't like, and then make our selection. So we're going to start with Arlington Park race number 7. That is the Beverly D Stakes. It's a grade 1, a mile and 3/16 on the turf. Shawn, we'll start with you. Give us a horse that you like here.
I like Mean Mary. Might be the best horse in the field and also should get the pace advantage here. It's going to go right out to the front. I don't see too many horses challenging her. We'll have to hold off Santa Barbara, who will be flying late. Luis Saez has been winning all the big races and everywhere this year, so this will be another one. I used Santa Barbara for second. As I said, she'll be flying late. And then I really wanted to use number 5, and I'll play the exacta with the number 5, Naval Laughter. I like a lot of things about this horse, including the pace of this race, as I see she could be behind Mean Mary, and maybe they'll go all the way around a merry-go-round race. I also like that she's been running and having jockey Sophia Doyle on, and she's been good at the turf.
She's been on the show, too. And I know Terry said that he kind of thinks a little bit different than you. I think he says he expects Santa Barbara to catch Mean Mary.
I do, yeah. And I know everybody's saying Mean Mary, and she looks like a really good choice. She's
well, you said you have a good reason like Mean Mary.
Well, yeah, because my ex is named Mary. So.
And you said she was a little bit mean.
She could be mean, yeah, if you weren't careful. So,
well, you're always careful, Terry. So
that's right. But I really think that Santa Barbara is going to win. I mean, the last race she ran here, the first race she ran here, she was blocked and she still won that race. I know Mean Mary's got a Brian number of 113 and hasn't done much wrong and finished 81% of the time the money, and she's won 64% of her races. And I also agree with Shawn about number 5, Naval Laughter. I almost put that as my top pick because she just won her last race. It was a grade 3 race, and she's going up in class. And as I said, that's something that I like to do is when a horse is going up in class.
And I know that, Tom, which surprises me, Tom, is that there is a international horse in here, and you didn't take it.
No, I didn't. Mean Mary's been very impressive. And the last race, it faced a horse by the name of Thundering Knights and beat it by a neck. And Thundering Knights was flying at the end. Well, Thundering Knights went to the Pretty Polly at the Curragh, faced Santa Barbara, and beat her by a head. So she was my top choice at the Curragh. I mean, Thundering Knights was, and I just think that the Mean Mary's just got all she's got to do is hold on. She's won at this distance twice out of 3 tries. I mean, her worst race is what? The Breeders' Cup. She finished 7th. I mean, that is really the worst race she's ever run. So, I mean, she's a very fast horse, and I think Louis says all you got to do is just hold on and rate her a little bit, and let them see if they can come after her. I mean, I thought Naval Laughter and maybe Joya 4 will try to stay pace with her, but I don't see it.
I agree. I think that I do like Santa Barbara a little bit to catch him at the end, because it seems to me that when she's pressed, when Mean Mary is pressed, the rare time that she's been pressed, she's kind of struggled a little bit, and she's going to be pressed in this race, I think. Unless the two of them go out, and that's Naval Laughter, I think we'll go out with Mean Mary. And if the two of them can go out and run a modest pace, I think they have a good chance to run 1-2 around the track, right? Yeah. So it looks like you agree with that, Shawn. Is that kind of your assessment?
Yeah, that's what I was going with. Now, I put Santa Barbara as a second pick, thinking she might get there for a second, but I'm going to play it 2-5 cold. That's the only value, and I think there is a good chance that Naval Laughter doesn't press Mean Mary too hard, and they go around, and Mean Mary's going to win the race. And did I show up to the right show? Because Terry sounds like Tom, and Tom sounds like Terry.
Terry, what do you think about that?
Well, I think
you're doing the international horses. You're not doing the fast ones from home.
No, that's true.
Or namesakes, which Terry.
That'll be his downfall.
Oh yes.
Hey, there's another horse in here that might just be a red herring. I think number 6, Lemista, ran a disappointing 8th in her last race, which was a grade 1, Diana. And it appears that I watched the race. It appears to me that the problem with that was that she was behind a wall of horses. And I think they added Lasix this time, which is something that you referred to, Rich. And I think it's going to help her. And they changed jockeys to Flavien Prat. So I think that's somebody to really watch out for. You might get a price there. I think it's going to be higher than 5-1, to tell you the truth.
Well, for me, I think that looking at that horse, the first time Lasix angle doesn't really play as well with me there, because she didn't show speed and then fade. And then also looking at this horse, I noticed that a lot of its better races were on a softer course. So I think maybe Lemista is going to be looking for some rain or something to soften up the course a little bit. Tom, you agree? You're shaking your head.
Yeah,
you agree?
We're supposed to get some rain tonight. But Friday and Saturday and Sunday are supposed to be very nice here. It really just depends. I don't know how much rain Arlington has gotten.
Hasn't rained a lot, to be honest with you.
Well, I got 2.25 inches here. So,
okay.
So I've gotten a pretty significant amount, but I don't know how the Arlington drain's pretty nice. They're going to be in the Million Isle for the race. I really do. I think it's going to play into the hands of Mean Mary. Lemista, I think she wants a softer course. I don't, she's got 9 starts, so she's really relatively limitedly raced as a 4-year-old. She's got 4 wins and 2 placings. Her better races, she's laid closer to the lead. And she just missed last time out at Belmont in a grade 3. She closed very well. That was her race before. Then she went against the 2 Godolphin horses and the Diana. Well, they ran 1-2 again.
They've been running 1-2 a lot.
Yeah.
But if you watch that race, she really was blocked the whole way.
Yeah,
There's
she
a
had some
wall of
problems,
horses.
but I don't think she was any match for those top 2.
Tom
Actually,
still sounded
I-
like Terry, and Terry still sounded
Yeah,
like
but
Tom. I'm not
I really
sure.
think the jockey just kind of gave up coming into the stretch. If you watched the end of that, he was standing on the horse and just kind of
So that's
let me
enough,
go.
huh?
That was it. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I
well, he
really
didn't have a
didn't think
chance.
you saw the best of it. So.
So let's go with this now. All right, Terry, your 4 top picks in order for this race.
Okay, I like the 4 Santa Barbara, 2 Mean Mary, 5 Naval Laughter, and 6 Lemistra.
Shawn?
Well, I just went with the top 3, 2, 4, 5. I don't even see a 4th horse really in here.
2, 4, and 5. And then you, Mr. Tom?
I went 2, 6, and 4.
2, 6, and 4. And I went 4, 2, 5, and 6. So Terry and I are in complete agreement. So Terry and I sound like Tom. Tom and Shawn sound like one another. They're both confused. Terry and I know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We'll bring them on Wednesday. They can talk about the races at York.
Hey, we
Okay.
could do that because there's a Breeders' Cup qualifying races, right? Next week out there.
On Wednesday will be St. Mark's Basilica is going to face older horses, so that should be quite interesting.
That's a very good horse. You want to watch that horse if you're into horse racing, for sure. Now we're going to move to race number 8 at Arlington as they wind down the show. This is the Bruce D, I guess after Bruce Wayne. It's the Batman Stakes, 300,000 on the main turf. If you look at this, it's about a little bit of an advantage to, but a very small one to horses that get off the pace. And is there an off the pace horse here that you like, Shawn?
It would have to be number 6 Point by me with Luis Saez as far as off the pace. It's not my top choice. It's my second choice, but this horse will be flying late.
Number 6. And how about for you, Terry? Do you like any late pace horse here?
Well, I like I don't know about late pace, but I like number 9 like a salt shaker. He ran a good race in his last 2 races, and he's returning to the turf where he ran a close second at Belmont Park, despite getting bumped in the race. He has a hot jockey in the last 7 days. It's been 13 mounts, 4 wins, 2 seconds, and a third. So, he'll be close to the pace, I think. He'll be in mid-pack and close at the end.
My only concern about the 9 horse, and there was a horse that I had on my radar as well, is that the horse against some better company has really struggled. But I think this race is pretty open because I think there's maybe a little top heavy too, like the last race. And then after that, boom, it explodes. Tom, what do you think?
I think it's the crappiest grade 1 we've seen this year. There not one horse in here has won a graded race.
No, they haven't.
And they're all running in grade 1s. This is not a grade 1 race. Because you got horses that are just won their maiden or just won their first start, like Tango. It's just a real. I think it's a mess, personally. I mean, I went with.
So you think this is your favorite race of the year?
Well.
So you prefer this one over the one with
really
Starman and Love and Wonderful Tonight and all that?
I'm surprised somebody, even Aidan O'Brien, didn't bring one over here to run on this race, just to steal the pot, because there's not much here. I took number 8, King of Miami. I thought the last race was too far for it. I think it likes the mile. It really ran a nice race up at Canterbury in the Mystic Lake at 15-1. It was such a nice race that the race caller didn't call him to the end. I think so. I mean, I think I heard him once other time, and he was setting off the pace. So that's kind of sets up for here. I do think it wants a little softer course. So that really will be see if that plays out. I don't think it's going to, but we'll see. And of course, Larry Ravelli's got 2 in here.
The 8 and the 9. Yep, Terry's like a salt shaker.
He is right now the king of Arlington. He's clipping along at a win ratio of 36%.
That's kicking it rear end right there. That's domination.
So I wouldn't be surprised if Like a Salkshager was the one to do it. I just went with King of Miami. I like the race. Last race was okay. I like the race before that. I think it really ran a nice race there.
Well, I kind of like the one Shawn brought up. That is second pick, Point by Me. It's a horse that's lightly raced, only 2 times out. So unlike most of the other, well, a lot of them are lightly raced, but It looks like to me the horse is getting better. It's run for the most money in its first 2 races. So they broke it in at Churchill Downs for a maiden 100,000. That's usually the type of level that they bring good horses at. And then it followed that up with an $103,000 allowance race. We kind of got stuck. Did close hard at the end. I expect you're going to see a little better run this time out of Point Me By. That's my top pick for this race. Is there any speed in here, Shawn? I know you like the speed horses.
Yeah, I actually had a hard time. It looked like possibly the King of Miami, followed by number 2 Tango, and number 9 Like a Salt Shaker. I think the 9 will be close, and I had the 9 as my third pick. I like that this horse did have 1 race on turf, and it was second, only lost by quarter of a length or 3/4 of a length in Belmont last October. My wild card and my top pick, I went with the number 1, the ride of a lifetime. Wild card in the race, first time on turf. Nice 6-1 morning line on the rail. James Graham on the turf, and this is the 4th straight time James Graham's on the turf. And this horse can go to the lead, showed speed in the past, or can sit off. So whatever happens in this race, this horse could be in good position at a nice price.
I agree, but I see some regressing form there. A little bit slower times in the last race than it had in the previous start. So, and then when you look at the past performance line, last time in the stretch, it was 5th. The race before that, 3rd. The race before that, 3rd. So I see a little bit of regression. Tom, do you see regression there?
Well, I went against it because of the breeding. There is absolutely 0 turf form in this horse. These are dirt horses. They've never done anything on the turf. So I can't really play a first-time starter in that situation. It would be a real stretch. The works are okay. I would like to see turf work to get some measure, but I think it's a bit of a stretch.
Or at least a race on an off track would have been nice. That's what I was looking for.
Even the all weather would have been preferable, but there's nothing. I mean, I did the silly thing and took a real big long shot.
All right, let's hear it. Which one?
Number 7.
Number 7.
Just has a czar. A strange effort last time out. It was like last, and then the jockey took it along the inside and made a little ground up, and it looked disinterested, but I think it needed a race. Hadn't raced in a while. Yeah, it's won at Turf Paradise, yet it's not the finest track in the world, far from.
Well, it's fitting for this race
there. I just think it's got to be in a better position to have a chance. And again, I'm not looking for it to win, but you're definitely going to get a price on this horse.
I would say he's 30-1 in the morning line. Yeah, and he was 72-1 last time, so he's probably going to be a price for sure.
Yeah, you know how I am with jockeys. I couldn't play Shannon Usk at all.
No, I don't even know who it is.
Yeah, no, 6% jockey.
A mediocre jockey at best.
Well, maybe I think jockeys are as good as their horses. Maybe it's a mediocre agent.
This race.
This is a mediocre race. That's why I. That's why I had to throw something in here that had a big number because
it's a wide open race. So
you just don't know. I mean, this is like handicapping a bunch of 2-year-olds.
Yeah, it's really a wide open race. I mean, my second pick is Tango, and that horse won a good turf race last time out. But I also like the number 1. Even though you were talking, Rich, about the speed in that, it had a great workout at 4 furlongs. 47.
On dirt again, though, to Tom's point.
That's true, but you just never know how they're going to perform on turf. And I know the breeding doesn't suggest that, but I think this horse is going to do well on turf.
Yeah, nothing to me in the record there says that the horse is going to do all that well on turf. I agree with Tom in that respect because I was really thinking about putting the 1 in there, but I do have him as my 4th pick just in case. Yeah. I went with Point by Me, as I mentioned. I think Tango. showed the best form in the last race, probably going to be near the front, but this distance doesn't really favor speed. I look back at some of the past races, and it looks to me like you kind of want to be outside and you kind of want to be a closer. So I went with like the Salt Shaker outside post, and then I also like the Ride of a Lifetime as the maybe just out of a clear blue shot that the horse does take to the turf, which I'm not all that I'm not all that convinced that would happen. Tom, how were you linking them all four?
I went with 8, took 7, and they took number 2, Tango, Tango, Tango. Thought it was interesting on that one that Calumet Farms brought him out of the sale for $35,000, and that's unusual for Calumet.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing there is that he's, Tourist still hasn't established himself as a sire of turf horses, winning turf horses, and he was a great turf horse, but so far not, it's an average, and they're only getting $5K for him on stud fee. So.
Mm-hmm. And then you, Terry, how are you ranking them?
Well, I like the number 9, like a Salt Shaker, is my first pick, and Tango, Tango, Tango is my second pick. Number 1, the Idol of Fell Time is my third pick. But I like number 4, Grinsburn. I know that horse ran a terrible race on its first race, but I watched that race, and it was bumped pretty bad. It was at Gulfstream. And then it, of course, went to the other track.
Ellis Park?
Yeah, Ellis Park, mm-hmm. and ran a really good turf race and won at a mile. So
much improved fractions too.
That's right, and he gets another jockey on there. This jockey,
Julien Lepereux.
That's right.
I think that's how they say it in French.
Julien Lepereux. Yeah,
I should ask Tom because Tom has all those pronunciations.
You got it right.
And then he's going up in class more than the other horses, which I really like again because you can really a lot of times get. And this is another one. I don't think it's going to be 5-1. I think it's going to be more like 8-1, 9-1.
Could be. That last race speed figure was pretty good. Some nice improvement. Shawn, how about you? How are you ranking this race?
I got 1, 6, 9, 8, and it's starting last race. The race 7, you start at pick 4, and I think this sets up well. You know how I like Mean Mary in race 7. We'll talk about race 9, and then you can just spread out in race 8 and 10 because they're both wide open. So you can find some prices and definitely hit this pick 4.
Well, it looks to me like it's going to be a Terry all.
Yeah, well, I did a pick 4 in my play bet there, and
you'll find that on the at Horse Racing Radar when the story goes up sometime tomorrow. You'll see it in the afternoon, and then Shawn will, of course, tweet it out. Speaking of tweeting it out, I forgot to let everybody know where they can follow us all the time. So hit us up on YouTube by hitting the subscribe button and then the bell. So when we get started, we're here. Follow us on Facebook at Racing Radar and at Twitter at the same address. The final race of our day is the Mr. D Stakes. A lot of Mr. Stakes in here. Tom, anything that you see in this race that stands out to you? There's a little bit of a foreign influence in here, but I didn't really like them.
The best turf horse in the United States is running in this race, and that's Domestic Spending. And the United Nations only proved that out because the winner who finished second to Domestic Spending won the United Nations. He's lost one race in his career. He's got 2 wins this year as grade 1s. He worked 47-4 over the turf at Saratoga, so he's sharp. And, this is the Chad Brown donation time at Arlington anyways. So this horse follows right with that kind of lead in. And I think it's the one to beat.
I think that's pretty much the one to beat too. How about you, Terry? Do you think Domestic Spending is the one to beat, or are you going to go somewhere else?
No. I think Domestic Spending is, everybody liked Mean Mary as being a standout. I think Domestic Spending is a total standout. Matter of fact, I have singled it in my pick 4. So, it's like Tom was saying, he's had the highest race speed of rating in racing, and he's won his last race at Belmont, 1.25 miles on the turf, the Manhattan Grade 1. And he has a sharp workout on August 8th. Trainers Chad Brown, a veteran jockey, is Julien Lepereux. And I don't see any wait for this horse to lose unless there's some kind of major problem.
Shawn, do you see any way for him to lose, or is this going to be your single in your pick 4 that you alluded to?
This is my single, and I think Domestic Spending is going to win. The only problem would be the running style, the way he only just gets up, and the fact that he closes. If traffic gets in the way, these are the favorites that get beat because traffic and coming from so far behind. But I see Domestic Spending. He's beaten a lot better than this. This is another field I don't think it's all that great. I mean, Domestic Spending's the horse. I like Busy Channel for second. Horse for the course, loves Arlington, winning 4 of the 5 races and has beaten some of these horses already. Should get a nice trip here sitting behind 1 or 2 horses. And then number 5, Zula Alpha, will be the third choice. This horse should pretty much follow.
I'm worried about Zula Alpha. And the reason is, and I think Tom is probably going to chime in on this and maybe agree with me, or this will be the third time I'm laughed at for the year, but Zula Alpha came out, made its 8-year-old debut in its last race.
Yeah.
And it was not that good. Probably the worst race that horse has run in 2 years. And I'm wondering if he's calling it a career, Tom. What do you think?
I didn't watch the race, and I didn't see any interest in running in that race from that horse, at least in my opinion. And he reminds me of Batash. I mean, just didn't. He's there, and hopefully he'll run a better race because he's a former claimer and he's made a ton of money for these people, and he's made a little money for me too. But at this point in his career, I've got to see something. I'd rather see him perform a little better in that last race, and I just didn't see it.
Yeah, I wasn't concerned when I saw that, because I know a lot of times you talk about horses just hit an age and they say, you know what, it's a wrap. I want to go to the farm. And
they'll work well in the morning, and then they won't do a darn thing out in the afternoon.
So Terry, what do you think? Do you see the same thing there or not?
Yeah, I actually like number 8, Bisme Channel, as my second choice. It's won 2 races in a row, as Shawn was alluding to. And then I like number 9, Armory. Has been running in graded stakes races in Europe, winning the Prince of Wales Grade 1. During his career, he's finished the money 80% of the time and won 33% of the races. And he has Ryan Moore as a jockey, and the trainer is Adrian O'Brien, and they've been doing great in USA.
Yeah, they've been kicking some butt, especially at Belmont for sure. I'm worried about that one too, though, Mr. Terry and Tom, because again, when you look back, it seems to be a horse that soft conditions, heavy conditions, runs better than it does on firm conditions. And I think it's going to be pretty firm, although I do expect the Lasix could help. But again, this is a horse that tends to be in the back of the pack, probably could get caught up in some traffic, like Shawn alluded to Domestic Spending. I would much rather see the Lasix on a horse that can get out towards the front, Terry. But other than that, I agree with you. I mean, the horse has definitely got quality. It's got the jockey trainer combo. I put it in my top 3, but I'm telling you right now that record on a good track kind of concerns me a bit.
Yeah. Well, I also took the 5 as my 4th pick because he kind of scares me. I mean, he had a bad race, but as we said, he looked really good. So he might have needed a race at his age. I know at my age, I need a little bit extra time to get back in shape. So he's been consistently working out in preparation for this race. So we'll have to wait and see.
I think so, indeed. And then, Shawn, how about you? What do you like?
This is the one I like, Domestic Spending, and then Busy Channel's my second horse, and I like Ice Cold really here too, 3-8. I'll use the 5, Zula Alpha as well. I just thought there was some more in the tank. It's definitely the veteran by far in this group, like you said, 37th career race. Next one, it'll be like their 25th career race. So this by far is the veteran. I do like that he gets Luis Saez as well. So this horse must be ready to go and still have something in the tank.
All right, so that's your picks. Tom, what are your picks?
I went Domestic Spending was a top choice. I went with my infamous Chris Block angle. Number 6, another mystery. I took him because he ran an okay third last out. He was no match for the winner. He was a little wide, which I don't think helped him any. But since he's switched to Chris Block, he's finished third twice.
Mhm.
And he's faced graded company, grade 2, grade 3, and with limited success. But I think he's good enough to get in there, in somewhere in there. And he had a maintenance work last out, and then before that, on July 31st, he went 47-1 over the all weather. He's not an all weather horse. So we'll see. I mean, win, no, but you want a price, and you want a local horse. That may be the one of the better choices here.
I think if you're going to go,
one I took was Space Traveler.
Mhm.
Ran a nice race first out again on the York at a nice against there, and then they just threw this horse against some of the best. So at Ascot, it faced Tilson and Century of Dreams, and Al Sahar, who's going to be racing on Saturday at Newbury.
Mhm.
It was a tough spot to get into, and then they decided, well, let's go to the race in the Sussex Mile. Faced Alcohol Free, Poetic Flare, Snow Lantern, and Tilson, and Century of Dreams, and it had absolutely no chance.
Yeah, most horses wouldn't have a chance to get that crew. That's a pretty solid crew for sure.
Sure, but its record is decent: 19 starts, 5 wins, 4 placings. My thing is with that one is my biggest question is this will be the longest race this horse has ever run, and maybe that's what it wanted all along. I don't know, but I mean, and I took Armory as my 4th choice, but my position is sort of against him because the race he raced at Royal Ascot against Love and Adaria, both of them did nothing in their next starts.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Love finished 3rd to St. Mark's Basilica, and Adaria was nowhere to be found. And I just think that race is not good enough, even in this group. Maybe it can beat the rest of the horses for 4th, but beyond that, I don't know. I don't think so.
For me, I think the long shot horse in here is number 4, because if you like the 8 horse, Shawn, Bisbee Channel, then you got to like the 4 horse too, 2 Emmys, because they've raced the last 2 times out against one another. And he finished right behind Bisbee Channel by a neck, so he improved. 3rd time off a layoff. Might be actually a little better this time around. 3rd off a layoff. And the only other, so it's finished three consecutive times 2nd. The horse that had finished 2nd before Bisbee Channel was Colonel Liam, who's not a joke for a horse. So I think you're going to see some good work out of 2 Emmys, James Graham. You guys have been on him a couple of times before, but I think Domestic Spending is the horse to beat. So you're trying to figure out who's going to come in behind him. I do like the only horse I think has a chance to beat him is the 8 horse Busy Channel, because I think he has a shot to get a pace to himself, get up out in front, and then maybe not look back, because he does have some of the best early pace figures, and believe it or not, he's got the 2nd best late pace figures right behind Domestic Spending. So if he can get off to a comfortable lead, does have the late legs to hold on. I win it with Armory just because he has been facing some class. But then my 4th pick is the 4 horse again. That is is 2 Emmys, and then I have, if Zula Alpha comes back to life, then he can probably beat all of my picks for sure. So that wraps up our show for tonight in terms of Arlington Park. Terry, you sound like you had something to add there.
I was just going to say I agree with you on 2 Emmys, because I really had a hard time deciding between it and Zula Alpha. So I love the 3 seconds in a row, and it seems to be getting better and better. So
I think 2 Emmys will get the lead over Busy Channel too, and Busy Channel will probably sit right behind him.
But has better late kick than 2 Emmys does. But
yeah,
the 2 of them have been, fighting, battling 2 races in a row. So if you like one, you got to kind of like the other, because there literally was just a neck separating them last time. And it does seem like 2 Emmys is closing the gap on Busy Channel. So we'll find out on Saturday in the last real big day of racing at Arlington Park. I mean, they don't close Tom to Winter after like in the middle of September, something like that.
September, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I got about another month of racing over there. So if you're in the Chicagoland area, or you're like Terry and you like to go to every different horse track on the planet, you better hustle up if you want to go to Arlington, because that clock is ticking. All right, Terry?
that's right. I'm glad I've been there, and I'd like to go again, but you never know. Maybe I can get my wife to go visit her sister. I'll tag along, go to Arlington Park.
Yeah, you can just take her to visit your sister,
Oh.
and then we'll meet you at Arlington Park.
Yeah, I'll meet
No,
you.
he'd
nice to
rather
be
go
there.
to FanDuel.
No, you don't want to go there. Or Stickney for that. I mean, Hawthorne is okay. It's not that. I mean, it's a fun
It
place
could
to
be
go,
worse,
but
yeah.
it's a grandstand with a horse track. Is what it is, right,
Yeah.
Tom? Yeah. And then it's like you come inside, it's just wide open, like you're under a grandstand, like in a football locker room or something with a place to buy a hot dog. Instead of outside, it's inside the grandstand. That wraps up our show for today. Tom and I will be back tomorrow to talk about 6 international horse races. Tom, which tracks are we covering tomorrow?
We're going to do Newbury in England, and we're going to be talking about really for the first time Caulfield in Australia as they start to get ready for the spring festival down there, and some really good races will be coming up.
What time do those races run for those who want to stay up and play them?
Well, it depends. Sometimes they're late at night. I think Caulfield's a little more towards the earlier, so around 10:30 our time. 15 hours difference. So watch your clock but you can, I don't know. The provider I use for betting usually has it available pretty quickly. So I make a few bets and
Go to
and
sleep.
then sit and maybe watch one race and decide, well, I really suck tonight, so I better not watch anymore.
Well, I know Shawn doesn't like to go to bed on his picks because they don't work out when he wakes back up. But anyway, I will be back tomorrow with Tom. Like I said, I'm going to a new show starting tomorrow with Tom. I Love Carly, where we'll be highlighting some of the Breeders' Cup races. That'll be at 10 a.m. Eastern. We're talking about the 4-star Dave at Saratoga, which is a win and you're in Breeders' Cup Challenge series for, I think, the dirt mile, but I'm pretty sure that's
no,
what
it's
is.
turf.
Yes, turf mile. Yes, you're right. So that's why I rely on you guys to fix the. We're talking about the Zula Alpha needing a race. I need like a whole day. I'm finally sharp by the time it's time to go to bed, for sure. And
That's
then
why you're watching Australian racing.
yeah, it would be perfect for me for sure. And then Saturday we're going to do our contest at Thistledown. They have I think 5 or 6 $100,000 races. So I'll have that. Complete analysis on what the pace should look like at the race, profile their winner for the distance and the surface, who's going to get the lead, who's going to be coming hard late, a little bit of a analysis on every horse. Then, of course, some picks, some you might want to fade, some you might want to play. And that wraps it up until next week. I think next week we're going to be back. We're going to do Del Mar. It's the Pacific Classic next week. Is that right, guys?
Yes.
Fantastic. We'll work on a guest that can get gas in their car.
Or plug it in at least.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, California, you can't buy gas cars anymore, can you?
Pretty soon you can't.
No, pretty soon. Yes, indeed. Yeah. All right. Well, until we meet again at the Players Edge podcast, again, make sure you subscribe, follow us on YouTube or on Twitter. Yes, hit that button down there. But most importantly, tell your friends about us. Help us grow. If you're finding you're getting good picks, I mean, Terry's been lighting it up lately. His back must hurt because he's been carrying the load in the morning. I plan on giving him a little bit of help next week, I hope anyway. But tell your friends about us. Help us grow. And until we meet again, everybody, as always, good luck at the winner. Good luck at the winner's circle. Good luck at the races, and we'll see you in J. Marco's winner's circle.